All right. Hello, everyone. So excited to have Susan Lynn join us today for Tarot Tuesday. How are you doing, Susan?
I'm doing awesome today.
it's it's a it's been a crazy day, hasn't it?
It has been a crazy day.
Yeah.
A good crazy day. We're going to talk all about it.
Yes. um, well, if you're over here from Susan, please make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I did just hit 9,000 subscribers, so I will be announcing a free reading and a free Reiki session giveaway for hitting that goal. I was meaning to do a quick little video on how to enter that earlier, but we've had so much drama today. I'll probably save it for tomorrow or Thursday and pick our winners next week. But yeah, I would appreciate anybody that wants to subscribe, and then you can enter into being into that giveaway for a free reading or Reiki session for next week. So thanks for everyone that's helped me get to that goal. I know some of you have come from Susan when I was on her channel. So thank you, Susan, and thank you, everyone. All right.
Much deserved. I really think you are so accurate. I was so happy when you said, "Hey, let's do a collaboration." I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
and then the day we chose is the day, I mean, like so much
and
going on.
And that's the thing
today.
too. There's so much going on in the ether. It's like you could pick any other day and there's big breaking news, right?
That's true. That is true. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it.
That says, what happened? I haven't paid attention to the news today.
I know. I didn't either until Kevin texted me and said, "My God, we're going to have a lot to talk about." I'm like, "What happened?"
Yeah, we have an interesting show. Well, Ness, Kevin McCarthy was voted out of he was voted out of the speakership today. So
he was voted off the island.
He was voted off the island. Trump gets a gag order. Lots of stuff going on. All right. Let's just start with McCarthy. I mean, I think, and if anybody has any questions, go ahead and write them in the chat, all caps, couple emojis. Me and Susan usually don't get to too many questions just because we have so much to talk about, and we enjoy like the banter and back and forth. But if we have time, we'll get to your questions today. So what were you picking up when you heard?
See, that's this is the energy is crazy, right? I just did a video with Karen, the astrologer, about the eclipse. And I think the eclipse has got everybody acting crazy. For one thing, let's just ponder this for a minute. The Democrats are like fierce. They're like savage. When have they ever just held together and just let a Republican have it? And think about it like this too, Kevin, like we have to have another budget in 45 days.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't care if the Republican Party blows up and we only have 45 days to have a budget. We don't care. I'm like, who are these people? Where did they come from? They're like totally savage, Usually the Democrats would play it safe because we need to have a budget. And McCarthy played with us, even though he apparently stabbed us in the back. And that's what I'm hearing, is that he lied to the Democrats and he lied to the Republicans. So he's persona non grata right now. But when I went into his energy, and it could just be him, like he's like the fool in the tarot, like he's just like blissfully thinking everything's always going to work out. So his energy is good. He can run again and get in. I mean, theoretically, he could do that.
Yeah.
And you said then the Republicans would probably vote him out again. Like if the Democrats helped to get him in, the Republicans would probably throw him out. So this may be some kind of multi-car, multi-day train wreck.
Rebecca, sorry.
Yeah,
I hear a little bit of a feedback, Susan, from the audio.
Feedback on me?
Mm-hmm. Okay. But Rebecca says Democrat got their balls. Democrats got their balls. Yes. Yeah, and that was kind of hitting me. I was on Lori's channel today, The Way of Positive Change, and I was feeling like he might make a deal with Democrats to save the speakership, but that's where free will gets involved because, he wanted to be a tough guy. And I think what really cost him today was that he was on some kind of news interview and said that Democrats were to blame for almost getting us into a shutdown, and Democrats are the ones that saved us from the shutdown. So it's crazy, and I think they were like, well, we're not going to do him any favors if he's going to act that way, and they all stood together. But I did feel energy that Democrats could save him. Had he not done that, then more than likely, I think he'd still be speaker. Um, but I
Yes.
do see a possibility where he kind of comes groveling to Democrats and asks for his job back, and they do it. They make a deal, and then pisses off all the Republicans on the other side, and then they vote him out again. So I feel energy around that. I I feel that Steve Scalise could possibly get in, but I don't feel a whole lot of energy around that. But I feel like some Republicans considering that. I don't see anybody that's extreme MAGA getting speaker. The moderate Republicans won't do that. Um, and I actually think that it's a possibility that Hakeem Jeffries could get speaker if these Republicans aren't careful.
I keep saying that. I've been saying that.
Yeah,
Somebody said you have feedback. Oh, you're echoing now,
I hear
Kevin.
it on your speakers, is what I was
Oh,
hearing.
you're hearing it on my speakers. Well, that's
Yeah,
not going to be good. I turned
you
my
don't hear
speakers
it as
way
bad
down.
now,
Are you
though.
still hearing it?
I don't hear it as bad, but your volume seems a little bit low now. But I think we'll be all right. I can
It's
hear it a
weird.
little bit, um, but I think it'll be fine. Connie said, "Breaking news: McCarthy will not run for speaker again." Interesting.
Well, that's good. That's good. You know what else I heard that isn't hasn't gotten into? I don't know if it'll even get into the media, but apparently, my favorite person, Liz Cheney, called a Democrat and said, "Get rid of McCarthy."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's admitting it. He's saying it publicly. She called me and she said, "Get rid of McCarthy." Now, what's interesting about that is she didn't call the Republicans. She called the Democrats.
Mm,
Man, if she switches parties, y'all know I'm going to need medication.
I don't see that. No, she won't ever
Really?
be a Democrat. I don't think. I wouldn't put it past her to kind of think that way, but I
I
don't think
wouldn't
she
put it
would. I
past
don't
her.
think she would fool too many Democrats there.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, chaotic day today. I was thinking, that he might be able to make a deal, and I've said since he got in there, I didn't feel like he was going to finish out the term. I said that very clearly. If you followed the channel, you know I've said that. I felt like maybe he'd stay in there for a couple more months until after
Yeah.
the budget. But what happens now with no clear leader and having to get the budget done? Do you think that we're going to go into a government shutdown after 45 days?
I don't think so. What do you think? You get we
If it,
do?
I think maybe a short one.
Really? I thought a short one last time, and the Democrats pulled some kind of, that's
Mm,
when they threw Ukraine funding out of the budget. And I think that's what McCarthy double crossed us on because he said, or the Democrats were saying, Ukraine funding is guaranteed. And then McCarthy comes out and says it's not guaranteed. And I think
right.
that did it, man. That was the final blow right there. So, um, I think we're in for a roller coaster ride. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that trying to predict what these people are going to do is going to be a little bit difficult because the pressure on them is immense, and I think they're going to be acting crazy.
Yeah, and it's hard to read past all the chaos because when the energy's so weird like that, that's really where we like the free will kind of comes into place. People are hit with all this unexpected news, so how are they going to react from it? How are they going to change the timelines or change the energies? And just because I was picking up a short government shutdown the last time too, and maybe we're picking up after the CR bill. I mean,
Oh my
timing
god.
isn't always the easiest to quite
Oh my
pinpoint, but
god.
I've been
Yeah,
saying that House is a chaos circus shit show.
yeah, that's exactly the words. If they do that to us, if we have a government shutdown after this craziness that they've put us through, that'll be it. I mean, that'll be
Hmm.
finito. I mean, the Democrats are already like savage. They're just like sharpening their knives. I mean, my God, I've never seen them like this. And Biden is also gloves off.
Yeah.
So, the thing I want to know about too is Gaetz. So, the interesting thing is he doesn't have any support either. His
Hmm.
party is actively talking about removing him. I mean, they hate this guy.
Yeah.
So, do you see Matt Gaetz being removed? I see him getting in trouble with the law. The law is not done with him. It's just
I
taking a little
agree.
break. The law is coming for him. Do you see them removing him?
I was going to say the same thing. I don't know about the Republicans removing him. I've always felt a lot of legal challenges, and for me, it feels like even jail time for Gaetz. But I'm just going to throw a card or two on it. Let's see.
There's this
The
video.
Republicans are pissed. They are not happy right now. And I think ultimately it's going to maybe take a little while to get there. I think me and you both talked about this before in the past, but we're going to get to a point where the only way to get anything done is for Republicans and Democrats to work together. You'll see some bipartisanship. Um, but
Remember when Cawthorn got removed?
yeah.
It was just like, it just happened like out of the, just, that quick. There's a video of Matt Gaetz that's going around, and he's on the floor, and it's almost like a guy he has his wallet out,
Hmm.
and did you see that video? And it's almost like a guy hands him something, or he also takes his thumb and goes like this twice,
Hmm.
literally like he's snorting cocaine on the
Yeah.
floor. I
Yeah.
mean,
Crazy.
if this guy is doing that kind of really just brazen stuff, then his days are really numbered. They're really numbered because the Republicans just can't handle that. They're starting to get the message that they're not going to win, and they're getting ready to start cleaning, the ranks, I think.
Hmm. I don't know. I feel him out at some point. I don't know if it's because Republicans go after him. That's not resonating the most strongly with me, although I feel energy behind it. But I feel like I've said it all along. Trump and the MAGA extremists are going to cause the Republican Party to implode and fracture. We're already going to see that because these
Yes.
Republicans are pissed that Gaetz took out their speaker. But then I also feel like there's a bit of fear of if we take him out, we only have such a slim majority right now. We'd have to have a special election, and then that really kind of hurts us too. And I feel like the only way that they would vote him out is if they're to a point where they're ready to do some bipartisanship, because
Yes.
until then, you know, the party's just going to explode with the MAGAs and then the other Republicans, the Freedom Caucus. I mean, because if they voted Gaetz out, they would have a fit. But I feel like they're kind of trapped to it. But I do feel like his time is coming. But they're kind of dealing with the burden right now. I have yes, he's leaving, but it's slow. It's like coming to balance for it first. So
Wow.
I don't feel it right yet. I don't know.
I
Maybe
can see him and Santos almost leaving within a month of each other.
okay.
Maybe in the new year, maybe February. I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah, I definitely. I've always felt like Santos is the first one leaving. Um, but to get a clear timing, I kind of felt like he would be out by now. But timing's not always the easiest to quite pinpoint.
Well, and then you've got all this crazy energy, right? I mean, the Democrats are acting like people I don't even know who they are. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just like brutal. And so I mean, I'm thrilled.
Hmm.
But the energy is just so different.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, and I understand. You know, it's hard because yeah, I'm glad that Democrats stood firm and stood strong and together today because I do feel like a lot of them were nervous. Had McCarthy actually reached out and tried to make a deal with him, I feel like he would still be speaker. Um, but yeah, even with the shutdown, it's like Democrats have to come in and save the day, you know,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily to our benefit. I mean, we could have closed down the government and had all that Ukraine. We would have had leverage there. I mean,
I
we still
know.
have that
I
leverage,
know.
I guess, because it's an extension. But
I know.
I don't know.
I
But
was thinking the same thing today. I actually thought, I trust you, Jeffries and everybody in there. But man, you guys are really taking a chance here. This is, they're taking a risk. So we'll see how they must have something, a card up their sleeve or something.
So do you get any hits with McCarthy's replacement besides maybe putting McCarthy back in or not having a speaker for a while?
I did get Steve Scalise, but like you did, but I don't, he looks okay to me. He doesn't look like a shoo-in.
Yeah.
When I really think, and maybe somebody can tell us in the comments, that the acting speaker can run it. I'm not sure what the rules are. Does anybody know what the rules are? Because if the acting speaker can run the daily duties, then there's no timeline. There's no. And so this may go on for a while, because when I go into the Republicans, I see infighting between the Freedom Caucus and the other wing of the Republicans. There's a lot of blame going on. One side's blaming the other. They're fighting. They're not working together towards any kind of common thing, except for they all work together to get rid of McCarthy.
You know who that wins in the end? Democrats win in the end next year, when people are really turned off by all the chaos and that Republicans can't function to get anything done. I think it pretty much assures a good victory for Democrats.
Yeah, I do too. All this is fodder for the Democrats. All of this is great publicity.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's just getting started. The guides just said this is just getting started. This is, we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a start. We've been kind of seeing some of the fracture going on, but yeah, I agree. It's gonna be crazy. People are saying that I know that Steve Scalise has cancer. I said I feel energy around it. I'm not, but I almost feel like people are thinking about it or like wanting him to do it, but it doesn't go anywhere. And even the Republicans in swing districts, I don't feel like them being big supporters of Steve Scalise. He's got quite a past there too. So I think he was a member of the KKK, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see that boding well with those Republicans that have to be a bit careful in those swing districts.
That's the problem. Who do they have? Who's got clean hands over there? Who's got a clean history?
Yeah.
That anybody will vote for.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it gets to a point though too, and yeah, we know Susan's volume is low. It's because we're having some feedback with her audio, so that's why it's a little bit lower. I forgot where I was going with that. Exciting day today. So,
I was going to ask you a question about.
Can I just ask the chat though? Patrick McHenry will be the interim speaker. Isn't his powers really limited, or does he have full reign to create rules and bring things to the floor? I think
according to Dakota, the power's limited. But I think you should double check that. I'm not sure. President.
That's what I was under the understanding of as well, but I could be wrong.
Well, if that's the case, then we're, our hands are tied, and you got to wonder why the Democrats didn't say to McCarthy, "Hey, you messed up big time. Come over here. We'll give you cover, but you're going to have to give us Ukraine money, and we'll keep you in. You want to be the speaker? We don't care. Be the speaker," right?
Yeah.
So you got to wonder, if that's the case, why the Democrats let the man hang out to dry like that. Thank you, Catherine, for that.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Yeah, but it's very murky, and even when McCarthy was put in as speaker, I didn't see that the most clearly either. It's very hard with all the chaos that's going on.
It's chaos. So. It seriously is chaos. Yeah, I know
Oh,
he lied. Oh,
I
well,
don't feel Elise Stefanik. I feel no.
some people are saying she's going to be the speaker, but I don't feel it. I
I don't
just
feel
don't
it
feel
either.
it. Um, I don't feel it.
She would try it. I mean, don't get me wrong. She has
Yeah,
ambitions for it.
the
I don't
Democrats
feel it
wouldn't
though.
do it though. I mean, if they
And I
needed a
almost feel like
Democrat
even
vote,
some of the Freedom Caucus wouldn't go for it. I feel like the Freedom Caucus is going to be really fringe on getting another Jim Jordan or um, Byron Daniels. Is that his name?
yeah, they like him too. They like him.
They want somebody like them in, but I don't
Yeah,
see that happening at all. So it's like they cause chaos. We get to a point where Republicans are just fed up and they're like, "We'll work. I guess we're gonna have to work with Democrats and we'll have
it,
some bipartisanship." I see
you're right.
bipartisanship coming in. So,
You are so right. It's almost like spirits pushing their hand. You know, like when you have
hmm
to learn a lesson and you don't do it, and then spirit steps in and does something for you to learn that lesson. It's like it's going to have to get more chaotic for them to learn the lesson. So,
hmm
what do you think? We talked about this before, but we wanted to save it for the show.
yeah,
What do you think the odds are? Now, I mean, honestly, guys, it is chaotic, crazy energy right now. But what do you think the odds are of Jeffries somehow getting the speaker?
I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's the most likely outcome. I feel like a small possibility though. I feel like if they bring a vote on the floor and they don't have like their vote counts or like attendance in that day, um, but they still bring up the vote, like they could mess up and we could accidentally put Hakeem Jeffries in. But it feels more unlikely.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Some sort of accidental. There's enough Republicans out, and it's just some weird kind of thing that happens, and Jeffries could slip in. But I agree, it would be a miracle. But it's on the table. It's not completely out of the realm of
Right.
possibility.
Well, and also too, I think it depends on the timeline of when some of these people from Congress that were part of the insurrection get in trouble and
That's
when they're forced
right.
to leave. Because I
That's
felt
right.
like we could have a shift before the next election to
That's right.
Democrats
Oh yeah.
very narrowly. And if that's the case, then yeah, Jeffries is in. Regardless if he gets in or not before the next election, he will be Speaker of the House in 2025.
I see these people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all those people that allegedly were involved in the insurrection. I see them getting convicted in the spring, somewhere around March, February, March, April, the
Mm-hmm.
latest being May. And people are saying that's too late, it's too close to the election. I'm like, you know what? This is justice. You break a law, you break a law. If and I think one of the judges said the same thing, right? We have to follow the letter of the law. And if this court case takes until June and you're convicted, you're out of your seat. I don't care if it is 3 months before the election, right? We
Yeah.
can't, we've got to get over that hump of it's too close to the election. It is what it is. If a jury says you're guilty, you're guilty.
When do you feel like they're going to be indicted? Do you feel like it's coming up here soon? I feel indictments coming soon but it with the January 6th stuff, it comes in different stages. So
Yes, I
Trump was
agree.
the first stage, and then it's like those closest around him will get
I
indicted
agree.
next, and I think possibly this month. October feels
Yes.
like it could happen.
December
Um,
still feels big too. How does December feel
December
for you?
December feels huge.
Big. So if they get convicted in December, I can see a court case finishing up on some sort of accelerated rate
hmm
in March or April. So that it's exactly the timeline that I've been seeing.
hmm
Indicted in the fall, convicted in the spring. That is exactly the schedule I've been
Yeah,
seeing for a while.
yeah, and but then it's like it's even more and more. It's like as one group gets indicted, people
Yeah,
start flipping and
I
freaking
agree.
out and throwing everybody under the bus, and so then it just becomes a huge giant, you know what show. Um, we have dark money, foreign dark money, in that information coming out. I feel that could be December too. It feels like that could happen this year. So it's like so many big chaotic things going on with the Republican Party. Come next summer, it's like the party's just smoke.
Just leveled, just
Yep.
leveled. I totally agree. Somebody made a comment about Trump, and we're able to see him in his courtroom now.
Hmm.
We've got a little bit of video and that kind of thing. And he does look broken. He does. He
Yeah.
looks broken. And the reporting was that he would turn bright red
Mm.
and, be gritting his teeth. So that can't be good for your circulatory system.
Right. Oh, he is just so angry. He's so angry. He's seething with rage.
He's seething with rage. Nobody's ever talked to him like this.
Hmm.
And he's losing his businesses. That's what they're doing in New York. They're taking his
Oh yeah.
money. They're
I
taking
think
his
even more than
fame.
the 250 million that they're asking for. I think it will be higher. And then I feel like criminal charges for Trump or
Yes.
the IRS.
I agree. Like
by
there's
the
not
time
going to be anything left. Nothing.
by the
Not
time
even the
Fish
dust.
James and the IRS is done, it's like
It's over.
Trump Tower is crumbling down. Everything, his legacy, his brand is nothing. His family has nothing.
It's all gone. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The thing is timing, right? But somebody's asking about Liz Cheney. We did talk about Liz Cheney earlier. We don't feel her being speaker. I'll tell you, for one thing, all of the Republicans feel like she betrayed them. I mean, and she did. So there's no Republican that's going to vote for her. And the Democrats don't have enough votes to put her in. I just, do you feel the same way, or you feel something different about Liz?
I don't feel right now she could be speaker, but in the future, I feel like she could.
Yeah, in the future. I think she's going to run for office in Virginia or Maryland or because she's now
she's getting back in.
She's got a law. She's teaching law in Virginia. So she's going to move to a city that'll support her, a state that'll support her, and she'll be back in.
Yeah, like a little bit more of like a swing district where she can kind of play both sides and get back in. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it. Be the person in the middle. That's what I've always seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I feel like she's going to be crucial to rebranding the Republican Party after it implodes. She will be in a leadership position.
Yes.
To rebrand the Republican Party, and I do feel like she could be speaker in the future, but not right now.
Yes, I can see that too. So you see her running for the House versus Senate? I think I see that too.
Yeah, I don't feel Senate. I do feel like she'll make a run for president. I don't think this term, but maybe 2028. I don't see that being successful.
I think 28. You can expect to see her on the ballot, maybe as a VP.
Okay. She's going to try for president, though, I feel.
No, she does want to be president.
Mm-hmm.
She does want to. Do you ever see her being president? Because I don't know that I see her being president. But I do see her running. I do see that. She has energy of making VP, though. I can see her being VP.
Okay. I don't feel president, but I mean, I feel like Speaker of the House at some point. That's what I'm thinking.
I agree with you. She's not done. She's just positioning herself. That's all she's been doing this whole time, is getting away from the party. She knew they were going to implode. So she separated herself from them so she could keep her reputation. And as soon as they implode, she'll walk in, wipe the dust off, sweep up the glass.
She'll be the hero that comes and saves the Republican Party. But, it seems crazy now because of how just crazy and extreme the Republican Party is. But I do see once it implodes, I see them actually coming much more to the center.
I do too.
There will be a lot of bipartisanship. Not to say that you won't still have some fights, but it doesn't feel like the party's so ugly and angry like it is right now.
Yeah.
It feels like it could be a party where people could stomach to vote for them, in the future. Like
they have to, because they've lost everything, and they understand that didn't work. They tried that play, it didn't work. Now they're going to have to come back towards the center, and they're going to have to convince Americans that they are centrist and that they're not going to burn books or, ban abortion or, hate on people that aren't white, whatever, all these things. Yeah. They got all these problems, but but that's what they're going to do, I think, between 24 and 28. They're going to kind of rebuild, rebrand.
It's going to take them a couple election cycles to rebuild.
Do you really think so? Do you think it's going to take them like 2 or 3 election cycles?
Well, if you count midterm elections, yeah.
Okay.
Because they're going to lose ethically in 2024. You have 2026. I feel like 2028, 2030 is when they're kind of back. I do feel like energy where we could have a Republican president in 2028, but for me, it almost feels like it's the next election cycle, like 2032 is what I'm feeling. I think it'll be Democrats for a little bit.
Can I ask you this question? Because this almost keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
Do you see in 28, because so we are on agreement that the Republican Party is going to have to swing to the middle, and they're going to be bipartisan, and they're going to hold hands and sing kumbaya like they're whatever. I don't believe that that's really what they think, but they're just going to play it because they need to.
Okay.
So do you see in 28 the possibility of a Democrat running for president and picking a Republican VP to prove to the country, we're one country, we're we're holding hands, you know?
I don't think 2028, but it feels like it could be that way towards like 2032. I feel like 2028 is going to be really closely divided. It could be like Youngkin versus Newsom is kind of like what I'm feeling.
That's right. I think that feels really good because Youngkin is like, I'm not running in this crazy circus. Like, why would I jump in this circus? I can keep my name clear and run when you guys fix the problems.
Yeah.
When the Democrats finally fix all the problems, I'll strut in and I'll take over. That's what they always do.
Right. Or like they won't fix the problems because they like to blame the Democrats for like the immigration and border issues. They have no plans to fix it. You know, they like the chaos so that they have a talking point.
That's right.
Well, do we want to talk about the gag order? I think we both saw a gag order coming for Trump. Kate wants to know if, well, she says it appears Trump has already violated the gag order. I don't know what he did. Doesn't surprise me. Do either of you see Trump jailed as a result of the gag order? We talked about this before the show.
Yeah,
I don't feel jailed. I feel sanctioned.
Hey, I'm happy to be surprised, though. I'm happy to be wrong.
Well, and I feel like it's going to get a bit serious with what he's doing, like where they really have to kind of put in the restrictions, because it feels like there's going to be a couple close calls with people's safety. I'm picking up more Georgia rather than New York, but yeah, it's going to get really, really dicey is what I'm feeling. And it could happen this month, I think.
So the gag order, I want to just stipulate this because the media is going crazy saying Trump has a gag order. His gag order is not a blanket gag order. It's specifically to the judge, and it's specifically to the people that work in the court, the clerks and those kinds of things, because he said some terrible thing about one of the clerks. And so he can still talk bad about Biden. He can still talk bad about, anybody. So it's a very narrow gag order. But I think what you and I both saw was the money is really more important to him. So just start hitting him with those dollar sanctions. And you had mentioned when we get to Chuckin's always said, if you mess with me, I'll move your court date up. Those are the two things that really going to hurt him more is his pocketbook, hitting his money, and moving that court date up.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I mean, he would be really upset, obviously, if he was jailed. He would like the publicity and
the martyr.
Yeah, he'd like to be like the martyr, but as soon as he was actually locked up in jail, he would go crazy. Can you imagine?
Couldn't happen to a better person, in my opinion.
He would go absolute livid. But I don't
then
see
he'd
them
probably
doing...
die in the jail, and then we would have, then we would be, everybody would be.
I don't agree with this. I always get people that are upset. I know it's more people venting, but they're just being very careful because of the danger for violence right now. They really don't want to push the envelope too far, which is why I think things have been kind of so slow with actually getting charges to begin with. And if they jail Trump, his base would just lose it. They don't want another January 6th incident.
That's exact. I said those exact words on my videos, literally. So that's why they're being so careful. And the guides had told me that Atlanta was going to be ground zero. So I don't know if that means ground zero for like Trump losing everything or ground zero for some unrest. Do you
Yeah,
pick up anything about that? Like
I feel
Atlanta being
unrest.
the place where, for some reason, the energy tends to just be the problem?
Yeah, I mean, and you're not really seeing it in New York. He said a couple cases there. Nobody comes out. He didn't really get a really good response in D.C. He had some people in Florida, but Florida feels like it's. I mean, it's so delayed in everything with that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like the crazies are in Georgia.
Yeah. And because it's an urban city, this is going to draw all those crazy people,
Hmm.
and then we're going to have the whole race kind of situation happen. That's what I'm worried about.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what they want to make it about anyway, right?
I'm
They
just worried
always are going to
about.
talk about Black Lives Matter.
Hmm. Well, right, because if they started a big scene in Atlanta, it would get ugly.
It could get ugly. I mean, there's a
I
potential
feel
there.
I fear for the safety of the jurors, for the prosecutors, for the judge in Georgia. I feel like it's going to be okay. Like I feel like there's a lot of eyes watching out on the situation, but it feels like there's a close call. Is what I'm
I agree. It's like a pressure cooker. It's almost like a
feeling.
pressure cooker.
Yeah, not that we want to put any more energy out to that. Hopefully, we're wrong with
That's
that,
right.
but yeah, there is some energy around. I think people planning and plotting things as we speak. So.
And this energy can dissipate, just because we see it's a
Hmm.
pressure cooker. But that's what I love about Biden. He's doing things behind the scenes that none of us know. And he can have the ATF get on these groups and relieve the pressure. You know what I mean? So I just know that there's many more things we would have seen happen had he not had his people, you know, really supported the ATF and the different people out there getting these groups and these, people.
Yeah. Yeah, but it feels like I definitely feel like a lot of energy trying to shut them up. Yeah. All right. So I think those were the two big things today. I don't know if there's any other questions regarding those. Is there anything that you want to read on today, Susan, or that's coming through that you want to ask me?
Um,
It's so hard to keep track with everything going on. I have some questions start if you want to look at some
oh
questions.
yeah, let's take a look.
All right. Kathy says, two of my favorite people. Any advice on how to gently educate 45 fans on Fox News? There's no
There's no,
educating them.
there's no,
It's like they have to have that wake up call for themselves and
yeah,
realize, it's really a cult. You know.
yeah. You know what I see? I see now the diehards are the diehards. I mean, they're
Right.
just not gonna be listening. But I think the Republicans that sort of got caught up in Trump in his charisma, I think a lot of those people when they see these, the whole court scene and whatnot,
Hmm.
I think they're really going to get a bad taste in their mouth. And also what's going on in the House, I think they're going to get a bad taste in their mouth. And I think you're going to hear people that are MAGAs. They're going to say, I'm just not voting for anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's bad. The Democrats are bad. The Republicans are bad. When they say that to you, you have won. That is them throwing in the towel. That's how they're going to do it. And they're not going to go vote. They're literally going to not vote. They're sick of it. So I think,
Hmm.
the ones that aren't so far gone are just going to throw in the towel and be like, I've had it. I've had it. And that's
Yeah.
more pressure that what you saw too, Kevin, about these Republicans going into bipartisan. When their constituents start saying, look, just get some stuff done, right? Stop
Hmm.
acting like a bunch of babies. If I acted like that on my job, I'd be fired. So you're going to see some more pressure, I think, to bring them into the middle.
Yeah, but can you picture the Freedom Caucus, the crazy extreme MAGAs, um, not picking that fight? It's going to literally divide into two parties. It's a civil war in the Republican Party, and
That's
so
exactly what
these
I said.
people are going to be so turned off by Trump, or
Yep.
let's say Trump gets the nomination, which is kind of what I'm seeing, but then he's not around come
Yep.
election time. I think that
Yep.
that's where the energy is most likely to sit with it. Um, those MAGA people aren't going to go out and vote for Republicans after they're fighting like that. So everybody's so nervous about like these uh, third party candidates and all of that. I don't even see it really being a factor because I feel like the Republican Party, half of the base is voting.
I agree. I totally agree with you. That's exactly what I feel like is going to happen.
And I feel like
And
that's
so
going to be why we get a landslide, because the Senate map in 2024 is really, really bad for Democrats.
it's bad.
It's like they're defending all of these seats, and they really don't have a whole lot of seats at play to flip.
Yeah.
But I see a couple surprises, like Texas and even Florida with Rick Scott's seat. I could see going blue. But we have some red states like Montana, West Virginia, Arizona, Ohio, um, that have Democrats and that have to defend their seats. That's what I'm saying. It's
See,
really it's not a good Senate map, but I feel good about the outcome um,
I know.
for
It's
Democrats.
and this is the energy, right? You look at it and it doesn't make any sense how we're going to
Mm,
win, but we do. But that's exactly what's going to happen. It's just
yeah,
people go to the ballot box, they vote for whoever they want. They can come out and say they're a MAGA. They can come out and say they voted for Republicans. But I think some of these people are going to be voting their conscience, and they're going to be voting Democrat.
yeah. But I don't. I always try to wish people well and hope that they get that wake up call that they need to see the truth in front of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is sad. A lot of it is kind of like brainwashing in a cult.
Yes.
Um, but I don't engage. I kind of just send that intention that hopefully
I
they get
can't.
it.
They,
Um, because
they're
because
so
they're just going to fight
angry.
with you. They're so combative. They're not
Yes.
going to hear it. So I wouldn't even waste your time
Yeah.
trying to convert people over to see reason. It's not. They're not living in reason. They're living in alternative facts and delusions.
Some kind of rage fest. I don't know why they're so angry, but they are.
Yeah. Um, somebody just posted a good question about the had you heard about the all those children missing in Ohio?
No?
There was like I think through this year there's over like 1,000 kids missing in Ohio. Um, and I don't think that they're talking about it on mainstream media, but being in Ohio, I've definitely heard it on our news. Um, but if you're from Ohio, most people know that there's been a huge trafficking issue here for several years. And I do feel like
Jesus.
there's some energy around trafficking, is what I'm picking up with missing kids. They did just, I think I saw in the news today or yesterday that there was over 100 people arrested for trafficking, like overnight. And I feel like that's kind of in regards to some of these missing kids. I'm really putting a lot of resources into
That's
finding that
insane.
out.
See? No,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't hear
awful.
that. I'm sorry to hear that. That's absolutely horrendous.
But that's immediately what I had thought when I'd heard about that. I don't know if I've heard anybody read on it, um, but it feels like there is a lot of resources and really trying to get to the
Yep.
bottom of it. I do feel like some of the children will be recovered or found like through the channels, but I do feel like unfortunately like a good amount of them are kind of gone because of the trafficking.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I know
All
that
right.
Biden feels very strongly about that subject,
Mm-hmm.
and as much as he can within his purview, he's going to put money towards that. He's going to put resources towards that.
Yeah.
And you're Youngkin. Is that who your governor is?
No, our governor is Mike DeWine.
Oh, DeWine. Okay.
Not a big fan of him personally, but I mean,
Really?
at least he's not crazy MAGA or anything like that. But
But he's a Republican.
he's a Republican. He's a bit of a religious nut, so
Well,
you
then
know,
what's going on this Republicans watch. The media has really. Can we ask about
yeah,
the media? The media is really the problem here because the media continues to 45 just in this month in
yeah,
Northeast Ohio. My God, that's insane. That's like a crisis.
yeah. Like I said, I think it's like in the last year over 1,000 kids missing. I'm
Where are
in.
they missing from? I mean, are they from school bus stops or from daycare
Well, I think
centers or
I
from
think where a lot of it is, I think it's around Cleveland and Akron. So a lot of you know minority communities, and I think a lot of it's probably just because of like the resources with probably
This is
childcare, and
insane.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
see, this
crazy.
is insane. And I'm telling you, this stuff. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, yes, I'm. Yeah, it feels like Flint, Michigan. It feels like that kind of problem. Like,
Hmm.
why isn't somebody doing something? How hard is it to fix this? How hard is it to get get a handle on this? And it just feels like there's some people turning a blind eye to it
Mm,
energetically.
it's horrible. It's disgusting.
But I'm telling you, Biden will bring the FBI in there. He doesn't play. He obviously they've done made the Democrats and Biden mad. If I was all y'all, I would
Hmm.
sit down and shut up. Telling what the Dems are going to do
Well, and
now.
I
They're
I
serious.
haven't even heard about it on the mainstream media. You think this
I
would be a
haven't heard
huge
about it.
story everywhere? Like I've heard it on some local news, but I do feel like a lot of resources being poured into this, um, and a lot of these people behind it being caught. So,
And it's not just Hawaii. It's got to be more than Ohio. You know what I mean?
oh
It can't
yeah.
just be one state. They got to be going to other states or to Canada or someplace. I mean, there's got to be
Hmm.
other things going on. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ohio's had a big problem with trafficking for a while.
Oh God, that's nuts.
Let me just see some of these. Patty wants to know, will our country be okay? So worried. I think a lot of people are worried. I think especially with just that unknown, because you have this crazy party. Um,
It's true.
I don't feel like a Freedom Caucus person being Speaker of the House, which I know a lot of people are worried about. Um, everybody's just so divided. The energy is just so heavy right now. But our country will be okay. I've said for a while it's part of this awakening that we're having as a country. It's like an illumination on all of the things that have been hidden in the dark, or all the corruption that's gone on for so long that's no longer serving us as a country. So it's takes time, and it's heavy and hard, exposing these things so that we can make that positive movement forward, and putting those rules and regulations that are needed to update our constitution. So it's all for a purpose. It's not easy with Trump and the pandemic. It's been very hard, but it's like we're a little over halfway through it. I mean, it's going to go on for a little while, but it feels like things calming down like in the next year or two.
I agree. It's all for a good purpose. We have to see the rot. We have to see what needs to be fixed so that we can fix it. If we don't acknowledge it, then we can't ever really fix it. So
Hmm.
this is where we're at. We're in the place where we're seeing how bad it is, right?
Yeah, we got to learn that
And then
lesson
we'll
as a
fix it.
society.
And I see it. I see amendments to the Constitution.
Hmm.
I really do, and I think we're going to have the ability to do it. I think we'll have the House and the Senate. We'll be able to really get some things done that need to be done.
Absolutely. It's going on with our country, but I think even for us personally, it's all part of this shift going on.
True,
It's
true.
like we're spirits taking out all the baggage or the things that no longer serve us, so that we can go on this right path. I can't tell you how many people I read, and I'm sure you too, Susan. Everybody that wants to start their own businesses, or just out of the whim move because this energy is not serving them where they're at anymore. There's so many big changes I feel like going on collectively, and it's all part of like moving some of these obstacles and baggages out of our way so that we can really feel at our greatest and higher selves to thrive. So it's not just with the U.S. It feels like personally too for a lot of the light workers.
Absolutely, I agree. It's really an opportunity. This is, if you look
Yeah.
at it a different way, it's an opportunity for us to make America better, to
Mm,
decide what we want as people. Do we want the right for women to choose over their own bodies? Do we want better voting rights? Do we want everybody to be represented? These are choices we get to make.
mm.
And it's the same thing in your life, like you're saying. You're going to be looking around, going, you know what? I'm really ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to retire, or I'm ready to start you know, that new journey.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to learn the hard way to really get it. And not to say that we don't understand what's going on, but the other side.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. and it's also a lesson too, not to dive into the fear. Like the energy that you're sitting in is the energy that you're attracting. So if I know a lot of us are very empathic, so our outside energy, the energy from the news, this fear, this anger, this depression, don't allow that to consume you. Just take a deep breath and go within and just raise that vibrational energy and focus on the good the good changes that you want to manifest into your life or for our country. Focus on the good, like that prayer intention energy. So part of the lesson too is just kind of getting out of the fear, I think.
That's true. That's true. Having hope. Have hope.
Yeah. All right. A lot of these questions we already touched upon. Um,
There's an interesting question from Anastasia. Okay,
go
is
ahead.
McCarthy relieved he's out? I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so. He's taking this hard, and he's gonna. He doesn't think he's done. He's the Energizer Bunny. He thinks he can run again. He thinks if he just brokers a better deal, I don't see him being happy he's out.
No, I don't either. I think it's a facade. Now, Tim Ryan and what was the other speaker, the Republican speaker, Boner?
Yeah.
Uh, they were relieved, I think, because they were tired of all the craziness. It was like they had dealt with it for a long time. McCarthy really he dealt with it for how many months?
And he was so out of his own league.
Yeah,
He didn't have those skills like those two other did. Whether they were good or bad, they knew how to build a coalition. You know what I mean? And get people to be on the same page, and that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Paul Ryan and Boehner, not Boner. um, yeah, he still has those ambitions. I feel like people are saying he has a press conference going on now, so it'll be interesting after we're all done to see how he feels. But no, I don't think that he's happy or relieved. All right.
Sorry about my microphone, you guys. I don't know what's happening. I'll try to get that fixed.
We're just dealing with it. It's all good. How do you feel about the Speaker pro tem, Patrick McHenry? I don't even know who that is. I know Susan said he was like this little delicate little guy with a big old bow tie. Sounds a
He
little.
had a fit. He had a fit today. He hit the gavel so hard I thought it was gonna break. He was just like, wham! I was like,
hmm
wow. He's McCarthy's friend. Everybody says they're friends, so he's obviously upset that McCarthy's not there.
Yeah. Kathy says McCarthy's blaming Democrats for all of his problems.
All right, well that's fine. Go ahead.
You're right.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I don't really feel a whole lot of energy around him too. So, like I said, I feel like the interim speaker. I don't think he has a whole lot of powers. I think he's just kind of sitting and residing. But it feels like it's a what show to get somebody else in there. If they can even get somebody else in there, it's going to take a while, I think, because Republicans are going to have to get to the point where they're so exhausted with the Freedom Caucus that they're like, let's partner with Democrats. I don't think either of us really see that happening right now. They would have to be pretty desperate to do that. So, yeah, it feels a bit tough for a while.
When you go into Patrick McHenry, who's the Speaker pro tem, do you see him serving for a long time? Because sometimes I see him walking away, just being like, I didn't ask for this, and literally motioning to vacate his own self.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like almost like he doesn't have the strength to deal with all the craziness.
He doesn't want to deal with it. He's mad. He's really mad.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, you got to have like a constitution of iron, ore to get up there and wrangle these Republicans, and he doesn't have it. I'm telling you right now.
Well, and it's almost like who's going to be successful as speaker until they work across the aisles? Maybe they put another speaker in there that doesn't last very long because the Freedom Caucus is now emboldened that if they don't like something or they disagree with the speaker, they'll just vote him out because they have the power to do that. So it's like, it's just like free game is what I'm feeling. So I feel like maybe another speaker or two comes in and it's very short-lived until we get Jeffries or get somebody that's bipartisan.
it just looks like chaos to me. It
Hmm.
just looks like chaos.
But it's all right. The Republican parties will be their own undoing.
That's
Trump and
exactly
the
right.
Freedom Caucus people are burning the party to smithereens. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Somebody asked about Arizona. There's something interesting going on in Arizona. So apparently Arizona sold some or rented some land to a foreign country that had water rights to it. Here it is. Anastasia at 6:52 p.m. Do you see what Governor Katie Hobbs did in Arizona by pulling the leases from Saudi Arabia with them taking all the water? Um, so Saudi Arabia was just abusing this water usage, right?
Hmm.
And I did read on this once, and I did see the government. I saw some remedy. Somebody was going to come in and remedy this, and Katie Hobbs did the big thing that no other, governors wanted to do. She took a stand and said, but she did it because these people were not following the contract. The
Hmm.
contract said you can only do this or that. And they said, "Hey, you're not following the letter of the contract, please fix." And they didn't. They gave them chance after chance, and then Katie Hobbs said, "Psh, you're out."
Yeah, Katie
These
Hobbs was.
people are using our water.
Hmm. Well, and especially when they have such, you know, their water is so scarce in Arizona
I
with
know.
with
I
the
know.
droughts and all of that. Yeah,
And so
it's like absolutely not. We're not doing this.
we're
I'm
not
taking
doing
care
that.
of my own. I think the issue happens though with other places and nationally, um, getting Saudi out from taking our resources. But that is really impressive that she stood up to do that.
It
I don't
is
know
impressive.
how or um, I don't know if her state house um, is probably Republican. I would imagine. I mean, Arizona's pretty split. So.
Pretty, I felt like she had the power to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and this is important. Kathy says they were not only with Saudi Arabia using this land, but they were using the water to grow alfalfa, which is like a water hog. Like alfalfa
Okay.
uses so much water, and it uses so much water they cannot grow it in Saudi Arabia because they don't have enough water to grow it. So they're growing it here using our water and shipping it back to Saudi Arabia.
Oh wow. Yeah. Don't want
I
to
mean,
use their
this kind of stuff
resources
should
for
really
their
be on the
people, right?
news. What's that?
They don't want to use their resources for their people,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, good for Katie Hobbs. I had heard that there was some rumor going around that she'd step down as as governor, and
I
maybe she
know.
was attending to this.
She was in DC. It was Fox News,
Wow.
and they recanted, but she was in DC actually sitting with Mayorkas about the border.
Okay.
But I'm wondering, but when what I got was she did, do that. But I'm wondering if there wasn't something about the fake electors. That's something we can read on.
Mm.
Do you feel like she was like kind of meeting with Mayorkas and going down the hall to meet with Jack Smith, over the fake or somebody over the fake electors? Do you see that at all?
Yeah, that resonated as soon as you said it.
I mean, I don't know that it's cover that she met with Mayorkas. It's obviously a
I
problem.
Right. No, right. But it almost feels like too. While she was there, she was going to kill two birds with one stone. Like let's talk and see what's going on with this because we're getting close to
Yeah.
our indictments in Arizona. And is it just Michigan and Georgia that's filed things? Because I feel like Pennsylvania too. Like there's another state or two that's going to join the mix.
I think there's at least two other states. And actually, since I have
Maybe.
you on, I'm hooked up to the Oracle here. I have a
Yeah.
friend that she probably isn't here tonight, but she asked me. So she lives in Pennsylvania, and they have a state Supreme Court opening, and they're hoping the Dem is going to win the state Supreme Court opening. Do you see that?
Do you happen to know what the candidate's
I
name is,
don't
or
know what the
anybody in the
candidate
chat?
name is.
It'll help me set in the energy a little bit.
Uh, da-da-da-da-da.
I'll just throw a card for the Dem and one card for the Republican. How about that?
There you go.
I feel good about the Democrats, though.
It does feel better to me.
And you said it's a state Supreme Court?
State Supreme Court. I don't see it.
Ooh,
Oh, wait.
9 of Cups. That is a good one for the Democrat.
Okay, I'll take it.
I don't feel it for the Republican. It feels like a lot of money trying to get the Republican in. This is like that group work, but then the death card with that, so that's an ending. The Democrat had the 9 of Cups coming out, so that's wish fulfillment. So it feels good for the Democrat.
Yes, super awesome. All right. Oh yeah, that's something we can talk about. I meant to ask you about that. California's new senator, you know, the woman who's replacing Dianne Feinstein. I get good energy around her. I get her being very articulate, like a debater, like a zinger. You know what I mean? How do you feel about her?
Yeah, I haven't focused on her too much, but I agree with you. I really like her energy. She's got a feistiness to her, I think, and like that
She's
fight.
Feisty.
I think she's going to do good. I don't think that.
Thank you, LaFonza Butler. That's her name.
Thank you, LaFonza Butler. I think she could technically jump into that Senate race. I almost feel like she's not going to.
I don't think she's going to.
But I feel like in the meantime, she's a really good replacement.
This is putting her on the national stage in a great big way. I know she's well known in California, but this puts her on a national stage, and I think that she'll probably run for something now. I don't think this is the end of her elected, office.
I feel like a mayor.
I feel like something in California.
It doesn't feel like maybe eventually governor, but it feels like
really?
Like maybe mayor of a big city.
So you don't see her running for like Congress, U.S. Congress?
I'm not saying that there's not energy to that, but I feel more energy maybe after this term's up running for something statewide, like a mayor race.
I did feel state, like maybe even state California House.
Maybe deciding in the future to run for the Senate, for the U.S. Senate.
She's young.
It feels like it's a while out there. It feels like it's more state house based at first, is what I would say. Because I feel Adam Schiff, I feel like it's going to do good, but I feel Katie Porter at some point will be a state senator too.
I agree. I can't say that one is going to lose and one is going to win. I feel like they both win in some way.
Yeah. At some point. I think Katie Porter might be
a year after.
Or two, yeah. Wiki says, I think Newsom put her in because she wasn't going to run for the seat. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that the Black Caucus was wanting, I think, Barbara Lee to be appointed to that seat, but because Newsom was going to put a black woman in, he already committed to that. But yeah, I see him not wanting to put somebody that was running for the seat or coming across as, unfair to anybody. So that's why I didn't feel that. But I believe that they're wanting him to rescind the person he appointed and putting Barbara Lee in. I don't see him doing that.
Oh, no, really? There's energy around that? Oh, I didn't know that. I don't see him doing that either.
No.
Mimi Rose said she's female, black, and gay. The Republicans are probably freaking out.
Oh, Cece says PA Supreme Court. Dan McCaffrey, Carolyn Curlucio. Yeah, I'm feeling Dan McCaffrey. That feels really good to me. I'm feeling the male.
Wow, yeah. We already hold 4 of 6 seats in Pennsylvania.
Oh, so it would be split.
Yeah.
No, it would be.
No, it would be. We would have a majority.
Yeah.
We would have a big majority.
That's great. Well, while we're talking about Supreme Court, what do you pick up for Wisconsin Supreme Court? Janet P. I don't her name.
However you say her name, I agree.
Yeah.
What about her? Are we still talking about her recusing herself?
Well, no, they want to impeach her or remove her from her post that she was voted in, because Republicans can't risk, the maps changing and them losing power.
Well, there's a lot of energy against her in that energy, not in the voters,
Mhm.
but in that energy. There's a lot of energy against her, but I don't see it happening. I think it'll go to the Supreme Court. What do you get?
Yeah. Well, and that's what it is. It's like we're delaying things to go into,
Well, that's true.
because how long is that
Past the
going to take?
election.
They're going to sideline her until after the election. So no new maps before the next election. Um, they probably want to try an abortion case because it's illegal there. They have really extreme restrictions to abortion, so they don't have that majority. That seat just sits vacant until they can appeal that decision or take it up to the Supreme Court.
But I see something changing in the spring around this
Okay.
energy. When I go into Wisconsin and not her, it seems like the people in Wisconsin have
Hmm.
some sort of mind shift
Yeah.
in the spring. Do you pick
Well,
up
and I think
that
I
at all?
think it's a lot of people coming out because the Republican Party is suppressing their vote. They voted fair and square.
Yeah.
It wasn't a close election, and typically
Yes.
Wisconsin is. It was a blowout for her,
Yeah.
um,
So that could
which is
be
why
it.
they're
It
trying
could
to
be that.
restrict her. But I feel like maybe in the spring, but it delays things so much. I think with the maps, the
Well, that's
redistricting,
true.
I
You're
think that
right.
that's going to happen after
You're
the
right.
next election. I see it happening, but I feel like
So they
they're delayed
won. They did what
successful.
they wanted to do.
Hmm.
Even if it doesn't happen, they did what they. But you know what? This is the end of that. I feel like,
Yeah.
like this stuff with like DeSantis taking over New College and saying you're going to be a conservative college now. It's fascist, right? It's just
Hmm.
fascism. It's like how many people have DeSantis removed that are prosecutors that he doesn't like? It's crazy. This is America. I just can't believe this is happening, right? But I feel like this is it. This is their last chance.
Hmm.
Game over. Next year, early next year, they're just not going to be able to get away with this stuff. These people are going to start getting arrested. I feel like allegedly that DeSantis is going to get either stepped down before his term is over, or he's going to be indicted. Do you get
Okay.
anything like that?
I feel it, but I feel like it's tough in Florida for until like the very end of his term. It feels like it's at the very end of his term.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That's
It feels
insane.
tough in Florida. Now, Texas, I feel better about. So
Let's talk.
let's talk. Um,
You said you saw Texas going blue, like you see like a senator.
well, I would
Do
say
you?
purple, but
Darn
it's
it!
more competitive, I would say. I feel like, this is where it gets tricky because on YouTube, we can't talk about elections not being fair. So, so I have to watch how we word it. But, there's definitely been some shenanigans in Texas and in Florida. I've said that. Um, but it feels like whatever happened in Texas, it gets cleaned up a little bit, so it's much more
Yeah,
fair, is
I
what I'll
agree.
say.
I agree with you.
And I think a lot of it has to do with Ken Paxton.
Kim Paxton.
We thought that maybe he'd get impeached, but if not impeached, the legal issues are still huge, and I feel him taking down like three other people. I feel like Abbott's one of them. Um,
So the whole Texas leadership could be on the rocks. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
and Patrick. What about Patrick is the lieutenant governor and he's not any better. He's not any better.
yeah, I feel like he might be one of the ones involved. It's like Ken Paxton dragging people down to save himself. Is what I
Yeah,
feel.
that's right. That's right. They're all going down together. So, but can you really see like a situation where the whole Texas leadership, I mean, do you see them voted out or do you see them like
I see legal
herded out?
issues. I see him pulled out. I think for legal issues or resigning.
I'm going to send you a dozen roses when that
Texas
happens.
feels much better to me than Florida. I'm sorry to say.
I agree with you. No, I agree. I've been saying the same thing. Florida is dark, dark, dark,
Mhm.
dark. But when Florida gets its act together, I feel like it gets its act together better than Texas does. When it
Yeah,
finally does, I feel like it's like a very like a bright light comes in.
yeah, and I think that goes into too with some surprises with the Senate race because isn't Ted Cruz up in Texas in 24? I feel I feel him out. I feel like he's got a big scandal coming up. I do feel investigations into him, but I feel like he's so crafty. He knows how to distance himself enough for like maybe they don't go after him because there's not like definitive proof that involving him. Like he just gets out of it, but I feel like that scandal takes him down. Who's the Democrat?
Beto.
Well, Beto, and then was there Allrad?
Oh
Colin
yeah,
Allrad?
Colin Allrad. Yeah, Allrad. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. How do you like him? Do you like his
I
energy? Do you
like
feel
his
like he can make
energy.
it?
Hmm.
I like him. I love his energy.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get him over the hill.
but has Beto announced he's running? Because
No.
I feel like if Beto announced, he would be a shoe in, and I've always said I felt senator rather than
Me too.
governor.
I don't
We
see him
agreed
as
on that. We've
governor.
talked
Yeah.
about that before, and I think it's better because his safety would have been an issue if he was
I
governor.
saw the same thing.
Um,
Yeah.
but I do feel Beto at some point will be a governor or a senator of Texas. I don't know
I
if that's
agree.
now if he decides to run, but I almost feel like too, if Beto decides not to run, he will campaign with Allrad,
Oh yeah, I think
and
so.
it feels like it's like a lot of momentum. Like Beto gets
Nice.
everybody out there, brings all of that
Nice.
um, like grassroots effort to it,
Oh,
and he's got really fiery energy to him too.
he does.
I do feel like Florida's a bit tricky, but I feel Rick Scott leaving the Senate too, and I think he's up in 2024.
I think Gaetz could leave because I'm telling you, this stuff is coming for him. Whatever this
Hmm.
criminal allegedly this
Oh
criminal
yeah.
stuff is, it is coming for him. It's on his doorstep. Like I feel like it's 6 months or less away. Personally,
Oh, interesting. You think it's that close?
I really
See, I
do.
feel January 6th stuff, but I do feel um, issues from his past
Ye-
resurfacing, and I feel that maybe that will be the end of DeSantis as well because I
yeah.
don't know if he's directly involved with that or like the cover up
Yes.
to save him, but that feels like he gets his trouble like at the very end of his term.
Yes, 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 yes. I agree. I agree. If Matt, it could be that Matt pulls like a Paxton thing in Texas where he has indictments and he's just kind of
Hmm.
like pushing off the court dates and kind of playing that game for a while. But something is going to pop him. He's going to be popped. I feel like he's going to be indicted in the next 6 months.
Okay,
Whether or not he gets convicted in in a year, I'm not sure. But
and you feel like that has to do with his past?
well, I feel like that's coming, but I honestly, so remember what's that guy's name, Greenberg or something?
Hmm.
That guy. So that was Matt Gaetz's buddy, and they did exactly the same things with exactly the same evidence. And Greenberg's lawyer came on TV and said, "Why is my client going to jail?
Right.
Why is my client going to jail when this guy did exactly I mean, literally the exact same things?" That's coming back. That's actually they're coming back around to litigate
I
that
feel like they
again.
get more evidence from a female.
They have something new coming in, but I think what's going to take him down, I think he's got Jack Smith on his case.
Yeah, me too.
Him and Bobert and MTG and a few of them. So, how many people? I just love hearing you say this. How many people do you see going down? How many of those Congress people do you see going down now for Jan 6? Has it changed?
When you
Is it
say
the
going
same?
down, do you mean jail, like convictions?
Let's just go for conviction.
I've always felt like 8 to 12.
That's why I love hearing you say it. I love that.
There's more involved and more that will be looked at, but I do feel a lot of people making deals, giving up information, being very careful and sneaky. Ted Cruz, the snake, like getting out of it. But a couple people in the Senate, and then it feels more people in the House. However, I do feel also there's more investigations coming into this taking dark money from our adversaries. That's going to be huge, and I do
That's going
feel
to be big.
some. I do feel some legal issues for some people too regarding that.
Well, and here we have our own Menendez.
Yeah,
Our own Democrat Menendez has got gold bars and cash and connections
doesn't
to
that just
Egypt.
infuriate you?
Yes, it does. But let's get rid of him. You know what I
Oh, I
mean? I don't
agree.
care. Let's get rid of
But
him.
you know what makes me mad is there's so much more corruption on one side, but it's like,
I know.
here we're going to focus on Hunter Biden. We're going to
I
focus on
know.
Menendez. Where's the justice on the other side?
I
Like we're
know.
going to be all so careful about indicting people on the other side,
It's true.
and it's not there for the Democrats. Like, okay, let's start charging people. Okay,
It's true. I think they will.
they
When
will,
is
but
your
it's
sense?
frustrating.
When is your sense of when Jack Smith is going to? This is such an important question. When is your sense of when you think Jack Smith is going to start doing that? Like, I want to tell people, even though Kevin is saying 8 to 12 people, he sees this in waves, right?
Yeah.
Not
Well, and
just
that's what makes
eight
it hard.
people. What's that?
Well, and that's what makes it hard is that it's in waves. So it's not like
Yeah,
we have one focused energy to feel like that energy out.
yeah.
And 8 to 12 people that are in the Senate. There's going to be Giuliani, all Flynn, all of those people that were around
Eastman.
Trump, Eastman, all of them getting charged. But people actually that are hold elected office. I'm feeling like 8 to 12. It feels more
That's
around
a
8 to me,
lot.
but I feel like there's a possibility up to 12.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. There's probably 20 or 40 that need to
Right.
probably go down. I was getting more like 4 to 6. So I just love hear you saying 8 to 12. I
Hmm.
just want to, that sounds awesome.
So what was the
So
question
the
that you were going to
first,
ask me?
what's that?
What were you going to ask me about
So
them?
so do you feel like March? I mean, when do you think Jack Smith will send out an indictment for those people, the first round of indictments?
Oh, after Trump?
Yes, the Jan 6 Congress people.
I feel like there might be one or two of them wrapped up in the first indictments after Trump, which could happen very shortly. I feel like it actually might be around the eclipse. I know that you just did a show with an astrologer. I have to watch that to see what came through with that. But I do feel more indictments coming January 6th, and some of the fake elector stuff happening here soon too in other states. I feel more the Congress people. It feels like December.
Yeah.
There's indictments, and then more in like March.
March. That's exactly. See, it just blows my mind. I have videos saying word for word what Kevin says.
Okay, so we're on the same wavelength.
We're totally on the same
We're,
path,
we're having
same thing.
telepathic
Um
communications here, right?
and the interesting thing is about the eclipse is so on October 14th, which is the eclipse, it's looking at the ugly, it's uncovering. It's
Mm.
really going to uncover something, she said, but the actual energy of that eclipse goes for 6 months. So
Oh,
it's going to culminate in freaking March.
and then we have another eclipse. I'm right dead set in the next solar eclipse, like a total eclipse.
Oh my
I think it's in
God.
I think it's in April of
I mean,
2023
the
or May.
Republican Party literally might, they literally
I've
might
been saying it.
literally cease to exist.
Yeah, it's like it completely crumbles. It's that tower. It was built up on that shaky foundation. It comes crumbling down. But the tower's not always a bad thing because it gives you an opportunity to rebuild on a strong, solid foundation. So it's kind of like hitting rock bottom and then having to pick up your big boy panties, and get back to work and build a strong foundation for yourself.
Build a
So
better foundation. You know what I
it's that
mean?
wake
I
up call
mean,
that they need.
you can't, and Democrats too, right? We have our
Yeah.
crooked people we need to get
Yeah.
rid of. The Republicans have theirs. We
Well,
all
the
need to.
accountability that's happening this year, it doesn't play sides. If you're corrupt on one side,
That's right.
on the Democratic side, it's going to be exposed. And
That's
I think
exactly right.
there's going to be more people exposed with taking dark money. And I
I
don't think
agree.
any of us will be surprised with those people that it comes out about.
Do do you see? I think there might be one more Democrat that gets caught up in something. Well, besides
Well,
Cinema.
cinema, too.
Cinema's an
Cinema, I feel
independent
like, is
now.
going down.
Cinema.
Is going down. I feel like
How,
Manchin is sneaky enough that he might be able to get out of it or
yeah.
hide his way. Cinema
Yeah.
doesn't. It feels like she can't get out of it.
Cinema's gone. I see her with a golden parachute, like just, she's gonna. You think she's gonna do time?
No, I don't feel time, but I feel like it's For a lot of them, they won't do time, but it's like the shame. I feel like, and that just the stench. Like nobody wants to touch them. Their political career's over.
They're gonna
Um,
lose.
I
They're
felt the
gonna
same
lose
thing
something.
for Lindsey Graham. Like I never felt jail for him, but it just
Right.
feels like he's in a very low energetic place
I agree.
because his whole reputation is ruined.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree
And
with
for
all of
those
that.
people losing their power and money, I mean that's everything to them. So
Yeah.
I do actually feel like there might be a Democrat or two on in the House that are part of the leadership that might get caught up in it too.
Part of the House leadership?
Yeah, like one or two of them,
You got
or that
names?
have been there for a long time.
You got names?
I don't.
Okay.
But I felt like somebody major in the House.
It's not Maxine Waters, is it?
No, I don't feel Maxine.
Okay.
But it feels like a male to me, a male that's been in there for a long time.
God, that would be terrible. Well, that's Menendez. I mean, that's. I
No, it
guess
feels like
you're
in the
in there
House
for so
though.
long, you just start criming like
Hmm.
the Republicans because you feel like I have to do this to get anything done, or my hands are tied behind my back, or whatever. I read Dianne Feinstein came in for me
Yeah,
yesterday or something, and she was saying we need term limits because that would
interesting.
stop. That would stop this stuff like Menendez. I mean, you wouldn't be in there long enough to be working the deals.
Hmm.
Stinny
Isn't that
lawyer.
interesting
Somebody's
though that
asking
she's
about
coming
Stinny
in
lawyer.
now, like enlightened and she there's never really regrets, but part of her probably knew that she was probably past her prime, and
She
so
was trying to
maybe
explain it. It felt to me like she was trying to explain it, not regret, but kind of just be honest. It was like mea culpa. Look,
mm,
this is what happened.
when she really was. I feel like not that I want to diagnose, but like the dementia, whatever issues were there, it felt like a lot of, not to say that they weren't there before her husband passed, but that's where it feels like that loss was so hard for her that
Oh,
that it really kind of messed with that. And obviously that's not something that you plan for too. But I feel like I agree with you. It almost feels like not regret, but if she did it over again, she probably wouldn't have ran for reelection for her last reelection. Um, it's interesting.
she just. I know my volume's low, you guys. I'm having some issues with this microphone. She and she talked about her duty, you know what I mean? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what kept her coming back, was she had this sense of patriotism, this sense of duty, this sense of making, being there for her people, and it was really a strong sense that she was having a hard time also letting go of that, and retiring. And
Yeah,
then, the whole thing with McConnell saying, well, if she steps down, you're not going to be appointing any judges.
that's
So,
what it was.
he had us over a barrel. It's a very unkind, very mean spirited place right now.
Well, what do you feel now that even though we have a replacement going in there for her? Um, I don't know. It doesn't not necessarily mean that she's appointed to the judiciary. Somebody else could be appointed, but do you feel like Democrats or Republicans are going to give Democrats a hard time?
Yeah. I think they're going to block us from appointing judges. But I think that Biden has appointed so many judges. Like we've really been like a machine, and we've been appointing judges that are that look like America.
Mm,
So I feel good about the work they've done. It's not like Tommy Tuberville where we got one soldier through. You know what I mean? Biden's been getting them through. So how do you feel about it? Do you feel like they're going to block the judicial appointments? Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
little bit, but I almost feel like what happened to the Democrats going to happen on the Republican side here soon. It's I don't feel chaos in the Senate for the Republican side like in the House, but for entertainment purposes only, not wishing it, but I feel like McConnell's health is there's going to be changes with leadership in the
Yeah.
Senate soon. I think even maybe before the end of the year.
Yes. Yeah. And why do you think Jimmy Carter's hanging on? God bless his soul.
Mm. Yeah, that was so great to see him, and See
Yeah.
that he made it to his 99th birthday. Rachel Maddow had a show on him last night. He said, I don't remember what like the parasite was called, but his goal before he passed was to eradicate this some kind of parasite. Um,
Oh, right.
and I think that there was only like 5 cases left, where there were like I think millions. So he might
Oh,
actually live out to see that goal. I feel with Jimmy Carter, I was surprised because he kind of came through. I think the beginning, middle of September. So even though he's out, I feel like the time is getting close rather than before where he was fighting on. But I do, part of me feels like he's trying to hold on for his wife.
oh, right.
But I almost feel like them passing very quickly, like shortly after one another, because their soul energy is very much connected. I feel like if one of them left, it's not to say like um, their life isn't worth living anymore, but it just feels like a huge part of them is gone. Because they're that connected. It's really a really big soulmate energy. So I feel like he's trying to hang on for her. That's what
That
I'm
guy got
picking
the
up.
most raw deal. He got the most raw deal, you know.
Yeah,
And Hillary and Gore, all three of them.
right. Yeah, and isn't it crazy too? I think the last Republican in a long time to actually um, winning the popular vote was Bush's second term. So I mean that shows you, and that's going to be critical for the Republicans because what they're doing and getting even more extreme, they can't win elections.
Oh,
Our country is becoming bigger and more diverse, and they're not going to put up with that.
yeah.
So they're going to have to change, and that's why they're imploding right now. It's like all that ugliness has to be um, cleansed, I would say, from their party. Not to say that some of them won't still feel that way, but um, it's not going to be tolerated anymore.
It's not going to be. And it's just like the MAGAs we were talking about earlier. The Freedom Caucus are going to go.
Hmm.
You're not going to be able to have such extremists. And it's the same thing with the MAGAs. I think the MAGAs are going to have to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's going to take them time, though, and it's not like they're just going to change their character. I see a lot of them kind of going back in the cave that they came out of. It
Yeah.
wasn't okay before Trump
Yeah.
to
That's right.
to be so hateful and to be racist or misogynistic or um, that hate. Trump really fed them, added fuel, gasoline
Yes.
to their hate, and allowed it to be okay. And so until he's out of the picture and we have time to heal, these people are emboldened. So they feel like it's okay, and they kind of have to learn that it's not okay in our society. Some of them aren't going to they're not going to change, but they'll just know in public settings that they can't act that this way anymore. It's not tolerated.
That is it in a nutshell. That
It'll
is
take
it.
some time still, but we'll get there eventually.
And that's where we're going. That's why the
Hmm.
country's going to be okay because we're not going to tolerate it. And these young people aren't going to tolerate it.
Well, and if the Republican Party splits and the Republican Party is no longer allowing them to be part of their platform or tolerating it, then what do they have to do? They just go back into the fringes. I never realized um, how much hatred that there really was in this country. I mean, I thought we
Me
moved
either.
past a lot of it when we elected Obama, and Trump just emboldened those people.
You're right. He made it okay to be deplorable,
Yeah.
to be for you to be crass and mean and judgmental and racist. I mean, he just made it okay for all those things to come out.
Mm.
And you're right.
But
They'll
we're
just use their good manners. They'll have to learn to use their good manners.
Well, and like we talked about earlier, that's really what we're learning right now. Um, it's not an easy time to live on this planet, especially for a lot of us light workers, a lot of us really sensitive empaths. But we all have a purpose here, and we're all here kind of as like antennas of love during this shift, while we're kind of exposing and adding light to a lot of the ugliness um, that's been hidden for so long. So, you know, we all definitely agreed to be here during these trying times, and just try to keep that faith, like that light about you. Don't allow all the hard times to really just bring you down energetically. I think that that's so important to tell everybody because you know, we watch the news all day, and all it is fear, and or it works up our emotions, our anger, and then we're just seething. And that's, the one side is really angry and hateful on their own. We don't need to allow them to
Yeah.
pull us down energetically
Yeah.
to react
It's
that way.
true. It's poison, and
It
it's
is.
negative energy, and it's terrible on your body. It's terrible on your psyche. The guides were talking about your diet. We wouldn't want to eat donuts. Well, I would, but they won't let me. But
I was
like
gonna
three
say,
times
I
a
like
day,
donuts.
and they're like, don't poison your mind with all of this
Mm,
media because it's just one sided. It's not really factual, and it's gonna worry you and it's gonna make you upset. So,
yeah,
it's
and
not
when we're
good.
all upset, it's too much hate and anger going on, and that's not helping with how divided we are and how divisive everything is right now. I mean, I think one side is clearly a lot worse than the other, but I mean, it makes all of us so angry just seeing all the injustices going on. It's important to really just kind of breathe and come to the center and use that anger in a positive way. Use it to speak truth to power and to be that motivating force to get people out to vote, to make those necessary changes. Go out and protest and speak truth, for what you believe in. So that's really it's all about in the energy and in your perspective. You can allow it to defeat you and to leave you in a low energetic place, or you can rise above it and use it as fuel to motivate you and um, to help shift other people's perspectives. So
But you have to take care of you. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to do those things. I'm always telling you guys, take care of yourself, right?
yeah,
Feed your soul, listen to happy music, watch funny movies, watch funny YouTube shorts, whatever it is that works for you. Garden, take a walk, play
mm,
with your dogs, play with your grandkids, whatever it is, but get plenty of that back in your system, plenty of love and light back in your system.
yeah.
That's going to do so much. It's going to help you so much.
And I think not taking life so seriously. We have all these hard lessons that we're down here learning right now, and it can be really easy to be consumed in all of that. But just realizing too that life is you know there's more things than just work or
Oh my
the
God, yeah.
heaviness. Go out and have fun. Go laugh. Go do those things that you love so that you can take care of yourself and feel at your best so that you can be at your greatest self to give back to other people. If we don't take care of ourselves and make ourselves the priority, which a lot of people feel so guilty about, we can't be at our best to take care of everybody else that needs us. So it's so important.
Amen.
Susan, this is so much fun. I always enjoy our shows together.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me on. What a day. What a day.
Next time your channel,
Yep.
maybe
Next time my
we'll
channel. I
try to
hope I
do
get this
something. And
microphone. It's weird, like I'm on Zoom, I don't have this problem. I do videos, I don't have this problem. It's just StreamYard.
StreamYard.
So
I
that's
can help
weird.
go through it with you maybe sometime when we're off.
Yeah, I
I'll
would
share if
love
you need
the
help.
technical assistance.
I'm not the most
Before I
tech
jump
person,
off,
but I know enough to get through stuff sometimes. So
no, I think you do. And Cindy P, I saw you just joined. I asked your question to Kevin, and he sees the Democrat winning the PA Supreme Court
yes,
race, state Supreme Court race. So you've heard it here. Um, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you,
yeah.
Kevin.
Well, since there's so much stuff going on, if you have time in your schedule, maybe next month I can come on your channel.
Next month would be great. Let's do it.
Perfect.
I'm gonna
Let's do
be
it.
I'm gonna be pumped, and I'm telling
And
you
we,
guys. So next month is November. Would you say, just before we get off, if you had to go like November, December, like the next couple of months, which ones have the most energy, like the most like pow kind of energy?
they all kind of feel significant, if that makes sense.
Oh my God.
I don't feel like all the chaos has been contained for so long, and now it's been
That's true.
exposed, and it's kind of just spiraling out of control. So it's just kind of gets
It's
bigger and bigger. For me, September felt really heavy, and I think it maybe ended up shifting a little bit into October,
same thing
because
for me.
the
Same
energy
thing.
still feels really heavy. We have that eclipse coming up. Um, November doesn't feel huge, huge, although significant. December feels huge,
December feels big to me,
massive. Yeah.
and
um,
March, like
March.
February, March.
I feel even January too.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man.
So
I think
yeah,
I'm here for it. And in January, I'm going to be like, make it stop, Kevin.
just breathe. Like you said, go outside and breathe in that fresh air, and
That's
just
right.
bring those things that bring that balance for you. We're gonna need it.
We're going to be joining your. Well, I'm saying something you're not even doing, but maybe you'll be doing some Reiki classes or some online where we can just all like, Kevin can like, okay, we're
Yeah.
okay now. We're okay now. All right.
Last Friday, I did my first Reiki live stream in Prayer Circle, and I
That's
got a
what I'm
good
talking
feedback
about.
for that.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna try to, I think, around like full moons and new moons, trying to do it at least once a month, I think, because we
Okay.
need it right now. Everybody's so on
We
edge,
need it.
and
I'm telling you,
we
we
just need
need it.
to breathe and get some balance and healing. And it's interesting too, because after my last, when I was on your channel last, I've been steady and busy and booking up like a couple weeks in advance from it. But so many people reached out for healings, or even like my healing and guidance package. I had so many people reaching out, and I think it's because the energy is so heavy right now, and
This is why I
everybody's just,
brought it up. I'm like,
yeah,
and your energy is amazing, Kevin. I'm telling you. And not only that, you're a hell of a great psychic predictor of this political stuff. You are
no thanks.
very accurate. You're way more accurate than me. I'm not kidding you. I'm
Oh,
like, I
you're
wonder
good.
what Kevin thinks. Let me text him.
It's interesting, and I think I say it every show, but Susan, you are wonderful too. Don't put yourself down. I feel like when we work together, I'm not even kidding. I
Well,
feel like I channel things so much more stronger, and like the hits come through so much stronger and more frequently. So there's definitely some kind of psychic antenna energy radiating from Susan, um,
oh
or
God.
maybe I think even some telepathic communication, and we're on the same wavelength a lot. I don't know.
We're definitely on the same wavelength for the most part, except
Yeah,
for you still see Pete Buttigieg as vice president.
yeah, I do see it at some point.
That's the only thing we don't go eye to eye on. I mean, I love him. I'm happy for
Yeah.
him to be vice president.
Well, and that goes into the issue too of, sometimes when we do these predictions, sometimes it's what we're actually feeling like, maybe like the first outcome isn't necessarily so, but it doesn't mean that our prediction's wrong. It could happen later.
Oh
So
yeah, it's
if I feel like
complicated.
vice president, like a Kamala, Pete Buttigieg,
That's true.
um,
That's true.
maybe it's not so much that, but it's a vice presidency in the future if that doesn't
He
work
deserves
out.
to be president. He is really good, but I see him as Secretary of State first.
I think so too. I agree with that 100%.
He's gonna be an amazing Secretary of State.
Yes, I agree. And he's so, I think he would be a wonderful president too. Not to say
I
that
do
that
too.
won't
No,
ever
I do
happen.
too.
I almost feel like we needed somebody like him to come in at this time. He very well. I don't typically do past life readings, but it kind of resonates with me of him being a founding father. I could definitely see it.
Wow, like a George Washington.
I don't know about George Washington. I don't. That doesn't resonate, but one of the founding fathers.
I can see that. I can see that.
Hmm.
He's got that wise. He's so
And he's coming
wise.
through at this time too, because we're going to need help with rewriting our constitutions to
That
help
is true.
in
That
our
is true.
democracies
Well,
right now.
I'm voting for all of your predictions. 8 to
Yeah.
12 Congress people convicted and out of out of
Let's
Congress.
hope.
I'm all for that. I'm all for Kamala and Pete Buttigieg. I'm on your team, man.
Yeah, maybe like Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin.
Maybe somebody, or was it Madison?
Yes, Madison. We're gonna have to dive into that.
We'll
I'm
have to
gonna
dive
dive
deeper
into that.
into it. Yeah.
Ben Franklin. Yeah, he's so smart and he does want to do it, Earth Mama. He does. And he speaks, I don't know how many. John Adams is another good one. Look at all these
Hmm.
historians jumping in here. Thomas
I don't
Jefferson.
feel Thomas Jefferson,
How
but
about John Adams?
I can feel John Adams.
I
But
feel John
to me,
Adams.
Madison came through. But I don't know. Maybe John Adams. I don't know. We'll do a deep
Madison.
dive on it sometime.
Yeah, you'll have to do a deep dive. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, Susan, this is so much fun.
Thanks,
I'm
everybody.
sure most people watching are already subscribed to your channel, but if you're not, please go over to Susan's channel and subscribe. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'll be doing a giveaway here soon, so keep an eye out on my feed. I'll tell you how you can enter my giveaway. I'll do a free reading and a free Reiki session. You do
Can
have to
I
be
enter?
subscribed to the channel. You can, Susan.
I'm gonna unsubscribe so I can subscribe again. So I can.
You don't have to unsubscribe if you're
Oh,
subscribed.
okay.
I'll do a video and you'll send the comments. Starting off with reading or Reiki,
Okay.
depending on what you want, and I'll do a random comment picker and pick the winners. But I'll get more into that into another video. Please hit that thumbs up. That really helps us get these videos out there. And if you want a reading, Susan, how do people get a hold of you?
SusanLynnMedium.com.
All right.
And your moderators and the moderator extraordinaire, Sharon, has been putting our information in the chat. So thank you, moderators. Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, everybody. Much love to all of you guys.
Yes. We'll see you soon.
Yes, much love. Take good care.